Welcome to the Top 200 podcast with your host, Herschel Foran.
What's up, everybody? This is Herschel Foran from High School Top 200, and this is the Monday morning meeting. Welcome back again for another episode of this. For the first 15, updates this week. Everything that has to do with rugby in New Zealand and at a high school level, this is where you come to. First off, go and like and subscribe. Share this around with your friends and your family. Jump on my IG at Real HS Top 200. Also on Facebook at High School Top 200, and also on YouTube and all that kind of stuff too. And then sign up, subscribe, $5 subscription for the month. Don't upsize on anything. Cut a coffee or something like that, and lend your support to First 15 Rugby here in New Zealand, which is the only place that you can get First 15 Rugby stuff. Is here at High School Top 200, and I cover the whole country. I try and cover everybody. I try and spread my wings and my talents and resources and all that kind of stuff and connections, just so that I can get as much information as I can, just so that I can share with everybody else what everybody's up to and what everyone's doing, and just keeping everybody in close contact and keeping everyone connected through the sport that we love so much. And it's been another good week of First 15 Rugby. It's been really good to, even in the rain, I got out and went in the rain and watched Papakura High School play Hodaki Plains, which was a pretty good game. And then I went and watched Auckland Grammar versus Tangaroa, which was like another one, and another good game. And as we all know, the big equalizer came in this weekend and tore up everybody's game plan, and everyone had to play tight. And so there were some really tight games, massive upsets as well. And it's fully going to change the rankings, this weekend, today when it's out. I think, especially when it comes to schoolboy rugby, because there's no real kind of experience in it. Like, a lot of kids don't have a lot of experience when it comes to First 15 Rugby or to rugby as a whole, because they're all kind of just learning as well as they go along. But when it's wet and muddy, play it tight. That's really what it is. Limit your mistakes, limit your your decision makings. Don't spread out your percentages so far. Like, play what's in front of you and play what's the safe side of stuff. And as long as you limit all your mistakes, the game should go your way. The game should go your way if you limit your mistakes, limit your tighten up your decision making. Don't chance so many things, and just play a real, just a real simple game plan. I think it really what it comes down to. And when you have like a field that is so muddy and wet, and all that kind of stuff that adds along with it. I mean, that's why big high schools have real good clean fields. I mean, it was so bad. The weather was so bad that even Auckland Grammar started to pick up puddles, which you don't really get at Auckland Grammar or ground like Auckland Grammar does. Like, the surface in there so nice, flat, nice grass, nice mud, nice soil that doesn't muddy up or anything like that. You don't really get any kind of surface water or anything like that. But it was so hard on Saturday that you started to see it all pop up. But yeah, it's just one of those things, I guess. And bad games were going to happen, and I think for everybody the bad game week, and when it comes down to rankings and stuff like that, I give space for bad games. I give space for hiccups and things like that, because one time in the year there's going to be an upset where you happen to play your worst game and the team ranked lower than you happens to play their best game, and it just falls right on that same day, and you get history made, things like that. And so it's going to be interesting when I do these, doing the rankings. It's just going to be a lot of decision making in terms of what does this look like down the road as well, you know? And that's basically how a lot of it turns out, is that like good teams on paper usually come through. Upset wins happen all the time, you know, upset losses happen all the time. And yeah, that's just kind of how it goes. I wanted to talk about first, before I get into all the scores, right, I looked at a lot of schools, and I hope this helps. I hope this helps out a lot of schools, because me specifically, looking at a place like South Auckland that has so much talent and so little resources, they still come out with some solid teams. I mean, De La Salle and Tangaroa are exactly the best examples that you can get. Hardly any kind of training equipment, you know, tackle bags and hit shields and, you know, scrum machines, even their fields. You know, I think De La Salle do the best with what their field can do. Tangaroa being sort of new in this game in terms of 1A rugby, and still trying to get into it and still trying to find their feet and develop and cement themselves as a strong 1A team, still don't even have the resources that everybody else has. Liston is kind of finding that out as well. But I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about how you could make your situation better without having to go to sponsorships and all that kind of stuff, you know, and, you know, asking the school to get government funding and, you know, all that kind of stuff to support your rugby program. And I think the other side of it is that everyone wants a strong rugby program. Nobody really wants to put that much effort into it, and to figure out how, you know, you can make it better, because everyone's got lives, you know, everyone's got stuff outside of lives that's, you know, is probably more important than first 15 rugby, but we're still hard out supporters of our teams, and which makes another, you know, sort of heartbreaking Saturday when you can see all the talent that you have on the field, but you know resources is what separates us from the other team on the other side. So the way that I thought about this was from like an alumni situation, but not just alumni in terms of everybody that goes to the school. I think about it as an exclusive alumni and those that just play first 15 rugby at that school. Now, I've been doing this for 10 years now. This is my 10th year. And I was thinking that if you made up a first 15 fund where every player that played first 15 for that school could sign up, give $3 a month every single month, and all that money goes into the resources, buying equipment, buying strapping tape, buying, you know, jerseys, tracksuits, funding tours, you know, things like that, getting you changing rooms for you and also your opponents as well, which I think is another, you know, another important, I think, you know, resource to have is good changing rooms, not just for yourself, but also for your opponents. You giving them the respect as well, coming to your school, like, things like that. You know, being able to fund a pavilion, you know, things of that kind of nature, right? And I thought, like, if you could get together a whole bunch of first 15 players that are from the past and go, we need to make a change, we need this to happen, and use that, come every Saturday and come and support the team. This is what our plan is. Let's just throw out a figure of $3 a month. Every player that's played first 15 rugby puts $3 a month into an account, which is watched over by, you know, not too many people. Don't have like 9 people do it, have like 3 people do it as like a board. Don't get paid for it, you know, things like that, but it's a board of 3 members that make the decisions. What happened? What happens is that as it builds up over time and it starts to accumulate more people, more members of the First 15 community, any decision that comes up, everyone that is contributing to the fund gets a vote and gets a say. Make sure that it's all done through an app, make sure it's all done through a system where they can keep a track of everybody. Have something like everyone does it through an email that they're going to use specifically for that fund and specifically for a vote. And only those that contribute can actually vote. And that you actually get a say in what goes on with the funds. And I'm saying in terms of like, we feel like these are the two things that we need. We either need a new scrum machine or, a new set of, chairs and spectator, seats for spectators. And you can vote on one or the other. And only those that contribute monthly to this are the only ones that get a vote. And then I feel like along with that, your family name goes somewhere and, and some bleachers or whatever you guys, decide is that your family name is remembered in that. If you build like some changing rooms, your name goes up on one of the bricks and because of your constant contribution, your family name goes up there. And then as the years go on, you start adding all these names and to start building a legacy and a tradition and reputation that you can do it on your own as a school and as an alumni of the First 15, those that put on the jersey, knowing what those same boys of that current year are going to go through. You are just there to make it a little bit easier. And I think this attitude of, well, we went through the hardship, they can as well. Well, that's not the point. That's not the point, because even as parents, we don't go, well, you should go through the same hardship I went through. It's like, no, our idea of it is to be different and to make it better, make things easier, make things more accessible and open up more opportunities. Guys at South Auckland schools, and I'm just highlighting South Auckland schools, is because they're the ones that have the most problems but have the most talent. It's not a surprise that everyone goes to South Auckland when you want to find scholarship players. As much as I guess Kings are right in the middle of the hood in their Hogwarts building, they're in the perfect position to go, we got all the talent around us. And I know that kids, and I personally know that kids don't want to leave that school that they have seen their older brothers go to and blah, 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 and whatever. But at the same time, the opportunity is there in terms of, rugby and, school and that kind of stuff too, so they take it. But to compete, I feel like if you were to set up a fund, if you were to, call a board of a small amount of numbers, don't have like 12 guys trying to make a decision of we should start voting on this or voting on this. Like, just keep it really small. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone has a vote. If you pay, you have a vote. And make sure that everybody is heard. And it's not about, this is my money, I think we should do it like this, and I'm going to take my money away if I don't get my way. And no one's spitting the dummy. It's about bettering any situation, and that any decision that is put forward is always for the betterment of players. It's always for the betterment of your rugby program. And this is where I would start off. I would start off with calling a meeting of just First 15 members. Jump on your Facebook page everyone that's been a first 15 member at your school, tag everybody else in and go, hey, we're all going to meet up at the school at this time. This is what a plan is. This is what we want to do. This is what our vision is. And just keep it going and keep it going and keep it going. And keep the money small. And I say keep the money small because the more first 15 members that you have over the years, it's going to build up. It's going to build up. Okay, and so, you get around 30 first 15 members a year. And so, as you go along, you can accumulate that money and use it for different purposes too. Use it for different things that, so that kids can go on tours and, if you still want to find funding, sponsor it, because, there's always guys that are successful in their business. They want to also promote and help the team with fund. Cool, do all that stuff as well. But also have this other money and funding on the side so that, you can better your program and you don't have to feel like there's no way out of this. And I know that some schools feel like that this is just how it's been, this is how it was when I was at school, it's not going to change. And so that was like one idea that I thought of that I thought would be the best way to do it, because you're linking to the hearts of the guys that have been in that situation, that have known what it feels like, that feel a bit sort of slighted because of the lack of opportunity that their school had, even though they wanted to attend that school. I just think it's a pretty good way of starting to get things rolling. As much as we don't want to admit it, first 15. And I'm not just talking this is just for rugby. You could do it with any sport that's at your school. Do it with basketball or soccer or netball or hockey or whatever. But I'm just talking first 15 because that's what this is. But there's got to be a way to get out of it, and I think that this is one of the better ways that you can do it. And you can do it with guys that feel something for that jersey and that have felt that crest on their chest when they're standing on the field and they're ready for that kickoff and they know how it feels to be in that situation, and gathering up all the emotions from that week and putting it into the biggest hit that you can possibly do, or the biggest run, and just relieve yourself and let everything go and leave it out there on the field. And I think that'll be a good way to start to try and help your school better itself as well. And I'm saying give $3, but if you want to give more, give more. If you want to give more, then just give more. I've seen, especially at De La Salle, it's a strange one. De La Salle is a strange one because the further back you go with their alumni and those guys that are come to all the games and stuff like that. The further back you go in terms of the years that you go back in terms of alumni, the wider it gets. And the more you come into this age, it starts getting browner and browner and browner, and then it's like a fully hard out island school. And there's guys there's white fellas from back in the days that are still hard out supporters. I see them on the sideline. They're wearing their jackets, they're wearing their hats, got their scarves on. And I look at how proud that they are of their team, and how proud that of the boys are that run out onto that field every Saturday, knowing what their circumstances are, and they're still there to support them. And I love that dynamic that they have, because it's a strange one. It really is. I find it funny. I like looking at it and just having a little giggle myself, because you got these older white fellas just embracing these island boys and these other guys, because they all have that love for that school that they all attended. And I think that joining all those things together and for that common cause, I think that would be a good idea and one way to start it off. The other thing I wanted to... The other thing I wanted to talk about was was my first 15. I wrote an article about first 15s, just playing first 15s, and I still stand by it. Like I don't. I think that there's, and I've got to be honest about this. Like there is an embarrassment in it that the boys feel, not like outwardly embarrassed and they feel about it, but inside they're going, if they're playing an under 16 team, you know in your heart what under 16s means. And you know in your heart what under 15s means. It doesn't, you don't care about what school they're playing for. You just know that that boy that tackled you, or this boy that fended you off, or this boy that keeps smashing you in the scrums is 14, 15 years old. And he's not backed up by an 18-year-old, he's backed up by another 14, 15-year-old. And those two 15-year-olds just smashed me out of the rucks and cleaned me out. Like that dynamic of it, I don't like, because I know how that must feel. And I mean, I was one of those that played first 15 really young too. And I had to play with 18-year-olds and, you know, all that kind of stuff. But I knew that when I bumped somebody off, in my mind, I was thinking, oh, that kid's 17 and I'm only 14 turning 15. And he couldn't tackle me. Or I know that in the scrums, this guy on the other side of me is way older than me. He's a few years older than me. But, you know, I've dug myself into his chest and I can hear him gasping for breath. And standing up, feeling proud of myself, and I was like, yeah, I was just smashing this dude. I'm a young guy. On the other side of it, he probably doesn't know, but if he knew that I was only a young fella, it would do something to him. So, and like sometimes I used to tell him, I was like, oh, you let a 14-year-old smash you around. I used to say stuff like that because like that's just, you know, that's what you do. That's how you brag. That's how you trash talk sometimes. I actually didn't realize that at one point I'd probably get punched in the face. Lucky it didn't happen, but you know, I'd never thought about that stuff, you know. But I stand by it where I feel like first 15 players should just play, first 15 teams should just play first 15 teams. At your least, you know, second 15, you know, second 15. But I don't believe that you should play in under 15s or in under 16s. Even if there's mismatched scores and you know that some of this is like, just find other teams that are first 15 as well. So at least on your paper and in your mind, I'm playing that school's best players that they have. And I'll take the hiding, no matter what, I'll take that hiding, but at least let me know that that's the best team that's at that school. Not with playing the under 16 Bs of that school. It's like, wait, so you mean we're not good enough to play the under 16s A's? We're not good enough to play there, depending on what school you're playing for. It's like, or playing against, it's like, oh, we can't even play their fifth 15. Or their second 15, you know, red, black, blue, green, orange, how many other colors that you want to go through. It's just like, oh, we went all the way down to under 16 Bs. Like, that's how far away. It's like, I'd rather just play their second 15 and get smashed. Just so that I know in terms of optics of it, it's just like, oh, that's their second 15. Not like this is the under 16 Bs and be like, and like as a young guy, I probably wouldn't care how many, you know, teams it was. It's like, oh, I just don't want to be smashed by these younger boys. Now, the only one who really helps is the younger boys. It doesn't help your team. Because if you're in the first 15, that's the highest level you can get. If you're in under 16s, those boys are trying to get better for the first 15 when they get to that point. So for me, and I only used the Waikato and the Chiefs region because there's so many schools here. There's so many small country schools here too. And we got to be able to make these combined teams because not everyone is, like, we're a rugby country, but not everyone wants to play rugby. Like, we've got to be real about this. And we've got to be real about the fact that numbers are going down, not because people don't like rugby, it's just that there's other things that people are interested in. The internet opened everything up, like kids just want to be influencers. They're not influencing anyone, but that's just what it's called. Kids want to be gamers, and it's a real thing. You can't really push back and go, "I stop playing those video games. It's not going to get you anywhere." It's like, there's a few thousand guys that are making, not a few thousand, way more than a few thousand, but there's a bunch of guys around the world in these gaming teams that are making so much money. So you really can't say that's not a profession. But what I am saying is that, like, we have smaller numbers. Some guys just want to play just because they're the fun of the game, and if they get smashed, they're fine with it. But they would rather get smashed by a team that's on the same level in terms of age group, right? And that's where I was getting at, is that, like, we should be able to, within our region, even if we had to mix it up with counties, even if we had to mix it up with, Taranaki and Bay of Plenty, and find some middle ground and go, how about we all meet here? How about we travel here? If it's too far, be like, how about we just, switch the venue a bit and, ask a club if we can play at their club because it's midway. Things like that. But I don't believe in first 15 teams playing against age group teams. I just don't believe that is a good thing for those players. In my mind, I just don't think that's a good thing. But I think that there's a way of doing it. I do. I just don't think that anyone really wants to figure that out, or nobody wants to propose it and put it out there. Because they probably don't have the time and energy to sort it out. But I'm just saying, I'm just putting it out there that I feel like it can work, and I feel like it can happen. I like the fact that here in the Chiefs region, we have, Sacred Heart, Dyson, Hamilton girls playing Tauranga girls, Taupo Nui Aotea, Rotorua girls, Sacred Heart from New Plymouth girls high. Am I missing some teams? But they play like a Chiefs region team competition. And I feel like that's probably a better way to do it too. And what they've got is that idea that they have is probably the better one that they have right now. And I think that the boys can adapt and go, yeah, we should copy that kind of system. Because the Super 8 is gone. Those teams are in there. The CNI ones are all in their competition, so it leaves everybody else. Now, if you had to combine teams, just combine teams to make better teams. Because sometimes your school doesn't have a first 15 because only 13 of you guys are really committed to it, and then everybody else is just like, if I turn it up, I turn up. And if you're serious about rugby, even if they're your mates, you're like, I don't want to play with you. You don't even turn up to training. And then you expect to get a full game on the Saturday, and you moan when you don't get a full game, when you don't have come to training. Like, even that, like, I would rather go play with some guys that really want to play. They turn up to training, they want to train hard, things like that. The guys that are making jokes at training or they start to, give up on the game because the score is getting a bit out of hand, and then, they start making jokes and go, it's like, those are guys that you don't really want to play with. And there's guys that are serious that even when you're losing and you're down by a lot of points, they don't care about the score. They care about, let's just get better on this next position. That's how like real rugby players that really just want to play rugby, and that's how I would separate them. And there's guys like that at small schools that have that mentality that I just want to get better and win. I don't care if I'm not the best player in the country. I just want to try and get better. I just want to try and win some games. And if you got guys at small schools that have that attitude, and you got other guys at other schools that have that same attitude that are close by, why wouldn't you just, combine the team and go, hey, I've got some boys, a good set of boys, and just bring us together, and then we'll just make the best team that we can out of this. Obviously, there's equality and all that kind of stuff, but I still remain confident that if there was a competition like this, it would just do better in terms of the optics of how teams will perform and feel even after that game that they lost. It's like, it's not about us losing the game, it's who we lost to. that's another thing that kids care about. I would probably care about it if I was at school back in the days, and I doubt that feeling will be any different now. And like even with first things, like even with the scores that I put up, because I put up scores from all around the country, and I don't care what school you go to. I just want to be able to put your scores up so that other kids in other places can read the name of the place that you're from or the school that you're from and just have it in their mind kind of thing. And some of them are playing under 15s. Some of them are playing under 15 B teams and not winning. And I am really cautious about it sometimes of putting if it's an under 16 team or if it's an under 15 team. And sometimes I just don't put anything. I just put the name of the school. You know, and yeah, I just think somewhat of a protection, I guess somewhat of a protection, but you know, I just think it would be better, and if we can figure out a way, or if people could figure out a way that, you know, that this can happen, I think that would be really cool. And I don't want no older guys going, you know, thinking that, you know, like all this harden up stuff, like they'll be all right. It's like, well, you don't know. Ask them. And I know that there's guys out there because I've asked them, and they go, oh yeah, bro, we lost this under 16 team, knowing that they're first 15s, and they say it in like, oh yeah, like it's not, you know, it's not bad, but I know that it is bad. I can feel it. And you know, people going, oh, that's just part of the game and blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, the game can be changed. It can be different. It doesn't have to be this way. Like that competition was created. You can break it down and then recreate it again, so that there's just first 15s in that, regardless of how many levels they are apart from each other. It's like, what's the biggest difference between a Division 2 and a Division 3? What's the big difference between a Division 1 and a Division 3 in terms of talent? 40 points. We get Super 8 games and 1A games and Miles Toyota Premiership games that are 40-point differences. We got Wellington comp games that are 40-point differences. So what's the big hang up with you're gonna join the Division 1 and the Division 3 team? It's still going to be 40, 50 points. It's that on the day is still just rugby. I would rather it just still be rugby if there was another first 15 team standing across the other side of me. Not I try to run this ball real hard and that 15-year-old hit me and it's kind of sore. Like that's why I would not want, you know, some boys to be thinking, it's like, oh shit, this guy hits hard. And he's under 15, so he's got to be 14. You know, like those situations is what I'm calling for. Is just like, I'd just rather not. I'd rather change the competition for that reason, so that every boy that looks at their schedule doesn't have to look at, we play a first 15, then we play a second 15, and then another second 15, then an under 16s, and then we play a third 15, and then we play another second 15, then another first 15. It's like, and like you guys may think that this is not like a thing, but I look at everybody's schedule. It's definitely a thing that's what schedules look like. Not in the CNI, not in the Super 8, not in the, you know, the Miles Toyota Premiership. In the Otago one, yep, because Otago boys, their second 15 plays in there. And I kind of have a thing about it too. But I know that they don't have the numbers. I would actually want Southland's second 15 to also jump in that competition. But they have less people down there. You know, they have less areas to rely on. Waikato's not like that. Hamilton's got a bunch of teams. Most of the boys want to go to Boys High or St. John's. That's why they have like 3 or 4 teams just in one grade. But at the same time, it's just like, let them play against their own grade. But at least let first 15s in this area play against other first 15s, and if a second 15. Not a second 15 blue or a second 15 yellow or a second 15 purple, like just a second 15. That's how I was thinking about it. Okay, let's get down to these games that has happened this past week. Wednesday was really important. I am actually thinking about Westlake as maybe a number 3 or a number 2 team, and I'm holding back because Hamilton boys haven't played. They play this week against New Plymouth on Thursday. Hastings is the same, where they've played their games and they've had some good games, but the way that Westlake is winning, and when I look at a team like Westlake and they're in a competition where they should be winning anyway, I look at the score that they are putting up, and 68-7 over Takapuna Grammar is this kind of score that I'm looking at. And I would look at them to go, if you guys don't score over like 40 points consistently in a competition that you should be like smashing in, then I wouldn't consider them as a top 5 school. Only because I know that if Hastings was there, or Hamilton was there, or Sacred Heart was there, I know that they would put up those kind of numbers against those kind of schools in that area. And so with Westlake doing what they're doing and how they're doing it, and now they've beaten Tauranga boys as well, had a really good preseason. I actually think that they may be a number 2, maybe number 3. Because even against Hamilton boys, they could have won that game. They could have won that game against Hastings as well. And for a team that doesn't have size, they're well drilled, their defense is great, they got a great prospect in New Zealand secondary schools and James Cameron. And I kind of think that Tigers should probably be in the conversation, which I'm looking at as well, in terms of him being in the top 200 rankings. I think what's his name as well. Oh my gosh, his name just escaped me. The first 5 is it Blake? He, as a year 12, I would consider him at the standard of like a New Zealand Barbarian kind of player, and I think him going against like Rico Simpson from Sacred Heart, and Monty Parkinson is a good, I guess, a good scale for him to be on, and he can go head to head with them and not feel like he's going to get outplayed or anything like that. And I think that this team is a lot better than we think. It's definitely led by that back line, but it is also definitely led by that defense. And it's like they have the right amount of players, the right size, guys that are committed, and I feel like they have that attitude and commitment where playing defense is an attitude, playing defense is a commitment, and it's a mindset that you have to have if you want to play good defense. Being committed to putting your body on the line, to throw your body at these tackles, to put heads in places that you just that's uncomfortable, or you're vulnerable and you're gonna get smashed, and just not care about it is something that you want kind of in your players, because it puts another point of pressure on the other team to also try and step up, and it's pretty much the ones that don't want to actually take that next step up as actually the guys that lose the game. Because as the game builds, you want to build with that game. But once you stop stepping up and go, this is as far as I want to go, then that team doesn't win. Westlake almost look like they want to push it to the next level. And the best thing about Westlake boys is that their under 15s from last year is so good that you could have like 3 years out of this, of Westlake boys dominance, which is really new, because I am not going to put it past them that they can't beat Sacred Heart as well. I actually think that they probably can. It's just whether it would come up. And we'd all kind of have to wait for Sacred Heart to win their Auckland title, and then we'd see probably that matchup of number 1 and number 2 in the country. If Westlake, go up that high. Then again, you can't put it past Hamilton boys. You can't really put it past Hastings either. And so I think this is like the first time where I've seen like a top 4 really be that equal. It's really that equal between those 4 teams. And no doubt Hastings is going to lose a game this year because and Hamilton might lose a game too, because they have to play each other in the Super 8. And if they end up being in the finals, they're going to play each other twice. And if their same team happens to lose, they're going to happen twice. But that's not going to fall down on their rankings, because you're losing to a top 5 team. It's like, yeah, that's fine. But the fact that these teams are all so close, and even Sacred Heart beating Hastings in the preseason, which to me was the game that I thought, yes, this is like the number 1 team. This has been the closest it's been for a long time now in terms of top 5 comparisons. Like all of those 4 teams could be the number 1 team in the country. And if they suffer a loss, one of them suffers a loss, I'm going to have to think about how significant that loss is and to what team. And I think like when I was, because with the other game that happened with Otago boys and Southland boys as well, and then both of these teams had to turn around and play on the Saturday after playing on the Wednesday. It's like one of those things as well. It's like Southland was tested for if they belonged in the top 10, and if Otago was better, Otago proved themselves to be better. Even when it came down to the kick at the end, which I saw the kick and it wasn't his best kick, and he could have tied up the game, but it's just kind of one of those things that happens. But Otago proved how good they were, because then even on the Saturday, after playing Southland boys on the Wednesday, then playing probably the next best team after those two in the Otago comp, and then they ended up playing Kings and winning that one 21-12, to me proved how good Otago actually is. To play the 2 top teams in that competition 3 days in between each other, I was saying, oh no, that's a team. Those are team wins. Because you have to get back up for that next game, and as a team, they saw the opportunity and they knew what their role was, and then they got that win. And so that's another one in my mind as I think about it. It's just like, no, Otago's proved themselves through those 2 games how good they actually are. And then with more exchanges that they have throughout the year in terms of comparison, we're going to see how high they actually go. I actually don't expect them to lose another game this year from anyone in the Otago competition. And I think that when Southland come up for their second game, I think that they would win that one as well. But that Christchurch game is going to be a big one for them as well. They're going to be a big test for them too. Christ College is going to be another one as well, which will be another big test for them. I think that they can beat Christ College. I don't think that they can beat Christchurch. No, I can't say I don't think they can. I think it could be either. I think it's that close. Yeah, I think it's that close. But of course, with their win, they're going to be moving up the rankings. Sacred Heart winning 36-7 was a big one over St. Paul's. Of course, we have that equalizer in terms of the weather we spoke about. Again, Westlake winning 68-7. Fielding winning 34-13 over St. John's Hastings. St. Kennigan's playing against De La Salle winning 17-10. And I have seen the clips of the 2 tries that St. Kitts scored. And from the camera angle that I saw, I wouldn't have given the tries. And even if I put out the footage, which I'm not going to, because it doesn't change anything. So like, it's no use putting it out if it doesn't change anything. But this is like the other thing, that this is one of those reasons why you should have live stream games and have televised games. And even though I'm on the ref sides most of the time, because this is all voluntary work, they just do this because they love the game and want to put something back into the game. They can make bad calls and they can, stuff up on plays too. And I feel like those 2 tries were stuff up tries. One of them you could probably get away with, but the other one I thought was terrible. And this is not about St. Kitts, because St. Kitts don't give themselves the try. Like, they don't decide whether to try or not. It's the ref. So this is nothing about St. Kitts. This is about the referees. And after seeing those two clips, if I was schools, I would start wanting to have televised games, because it will keep the refs as honest as possible. They can also use it as well for themselves as tools to make themselves better, because that's kind of what you want as well. And I know that refs sit down and go through all their calls and things like that too, on a professional level, and it should be done at this level too, because of the talent level that you're playing with. I think they should automatically do that in clubs. And this is why I feel like I always jump on the sides of the refs, because they go through all this extra work and stuff too, just to try and make themselves better, and they don't really have to. I mean, I'll be the worst ref. First of all, because I'm too fat, I'm not going to run up and down that sideline or up that field. But also, I'll be like, man, honestly, stuff you here, take the whistle, and I'll just walk off the field. I'll be like, no, I don't need to do this. Having that idiot yell in my face all the time about what calls I'm making, say, hey, you take the whistle. I'll be one of those kind of guys. So I'd never do anything like it, like a reffing or anything like that. But just judging from games like that, I would start looking at live stream. I don't care what, I wouldn't care. I'll just do it. If I was De La Salle and I had footage, I would just put it out even on my own socials, and goes, this is what we had. This is what it looked like. To protect yourself, protect your school and what you're doing, be like, yeah, this is the kind of treatment that we get. These are the kind of calls, and let public decide what it is and how it is. Because I'm not saying that refs don't make a mistake, but sometimes I believe refs are biased, and I believe that a lot, that refs are biased, and I've seen it myself. Like I remember once, I went to like Rangitoto, and I can't remember what the other school was, but Rangitoto kept getting calls like called against them for reasons like, you kind of like look around at everybody and go, does someone want to interpretate what that meant or what he's calling? And can I get a translator for what, just went part, what was blown? Because I don't actually know what this guy's calling. I can't remember what Rangi Toto game it was, and I was saying, frick, do you just not like the school or something? Like, is there something wrong with the school that you don't like about it? Or does the principal do something to you? Or did you lose a bet to someone and you hate the school now? Because I don't know. But like, I always have these things, like I've been to so many games like that. I've been to one where it happened to Ongihanga one time. I went to one where it happened to Palmy one time. Hamilton boys get some bad refs sometimes just because they are Hamilton boys, especially when they're away. I've been to a Western Heights game where it's happened to them. And so like, there's all these situations and obviously guys are from the area who are refs and things like that just happen. Anyways, Scotch College had a massive win, 87-5 over Mana College. Nelson beating Christchurch boys in that upset as a big significant win. It shows a lot in it too. And so obviously Christchurch will drop down, Nelson goes up. By how many, I don't know. Obviously that means Silverstream moves up. That game against Wairarapa, that first half was really, really close. And Wairarapa just couldn't hold on in the end. Southland, they won 55-10 over Wakatipu in that second game that they had to play on the Saturday. And then the biggest upset of all the round was the Kelston losing to Liston College at Liston College, and just a historic day. And congrats, that's all you can really say is congrats to Liston College, beating their local rivals and guys that you went to intermediate with and that you know personally and that you go to church with and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's a good one for Liston College. I don't know how far Kelston falls, but they are going to fall. That's just a given. St. John's Hamilton beating Francis Douglas 34-13. Francis Douglas having three games in that like week. Jeepers boys. Like that's a tough one. And I hope a lot of you guys get that rest in. I hope you cut down on a few trainings, maybe have some walkthroughs, nothing intense after those 3 games, but just learn from it. Whanganui Collegiate beating St. Peter's Cambridge 35-12. Auckland Grammar game was massive, 44-0 over Tangaroa College. Wesley College beating Lindisfarne 58-0. St. Paul's coming close to losing a Rathkill, which was like another surprise when I saw that. I was like, oh jeepers, that's a bit close. Otago boys beating Kings, the one that I spoke about before. St. Peter's beating Dilworth 31-10. Napier boys in their first game back from Japan, winning 29-5 over Gisborne boys. St. Bede's beating Timaru College 24-17. And Mags and Kings was really, really close. I hope I get that footage soon so I can watch what happened in that game. But that was a close one. I actually thought Mags would put a lot more on, but of course, the rain and everything. So, Kings must have just played a really good game. I'm pretty keen to see what that game looked like. So hopefully I get the game sent soon. I mean, so that everybody knows, I only pick, team of the week players from games that I actually see myself. So if you send me the games and add me, and like, that's how your friend or your son or your player gets chosen as by that. Okay. Massey High School Rosmini was really close, 10-8, which I thought was going to be kind of around the score anyway. Whangarei beating Rangi Toto 24-3. Orewa beating Manurewa 23-3. Another, I don't know what's going on with Rewa. Kaipara winning 61-0 over Mahurangi High School 2nd 15. Long Bay College beating Northcote 29-17. Birkenhead winning, Mahurangi College winning as well. One Tree Hill losing to Avondale 12-19, which was kind of a surprise. I kind of thought it might have been the other way around. Pakuranga winning 26-10 over Aorere, another game that I thought would be the other way around. Tamaki College having a really good game against Southern Cross Campus, 30-12. And Tamaki College, Maclean's, and Howick and Botany are looking like the strongest four in those two pools. Maclean's winning 42-5 over Mount Roskill, Waitakere losing 15-25 to Howick, and then Botany winning 31-16 over Sir Edmund Hillary Collegiate as well. Tuakau beat Rosehill. Tuakau looks like one of the strongest teams in their counties right now. I think it might be out of them and Hauraki. Waiku winning 17-7 over Wesley College 3-15. The Papakura one with Hauraki winning 27-19. That's what the end score was. Really, really good. Really good game. Really was a good game. Papakura Young, they need to be one of those teams that trains from October, November into the next year, with all those young boys coming back. Pre-season is going to be really important. Training throughout the holidays and doing that as a team. And I say it, doing it as a team, and everybody being accountable and accounted for when it comes to training if you really want a good year the next year. And they have so much raw talent, they just need to believe that they have the raw talent to make it through. And with that youth that they have as well, I have no doubt that they'll be a really good team coming up in the next few years. Matamata beating Hamilton Boys Senior Black 8-0. Pukekohe 45-6 over Cambridge. Rototuna High School just losing to St. John's Development 15. Patadadu College, which is looking really good this year, they beat Hamilton Boys Senior Whites 22-5. Te Aomuru losing 12-13. Fraser beating Otrahanga 21-18, which was like a pretty close game. I actually thought it would be the other way around, but yeah, they pulled off the win. Fraser pulled off the win. Forest View also won as well against Hamilton Boys Senior Red. Rotorua Boys Second 15 beat Whakatane 43-5. Tauranga Boys Second 15 beat Taupo Nui Aotea 41-12. And this is for the first round, I think it is, and so Rotorua and Tauranga second 15s play off in the finals, and then I think Taupo and Whakatane play for third and fourth in this first part of the season. I think that's how it works. Western Heights winning against Te Taumata 29-7. The Mount Maunganui College and Trident drew at 17-all, which is like a massive score for both of those teams as well. I probably would have went with Trident on that one to win the game, but I get 17 was, I guess, is pretty good. I don't know, it depends what you feel like when you're talking about draws. Papamore beating Te Puke, which was not wrong actually. No, it wasn't actually a surprise. I was picking Papamore to win anyway. Kati losing to Tauranga, the Senior Blues, 62-12, and Otamotai losing to Mount Maunganui College, 2nd 15, 34-24. Tawa losing, this is down in Wellington, and Tawa losing to Rongotai College 36-10. Hibs beating St. Bernard's is a big game as well. I think that's like one of those, I guess, defiant games that those new teams coming into the top grade need to start winning. And I feel like if you want to make that top 4, you've got to beat every team that is new to that competition. You have to win all those games and then hope that you're okay with the top 4 that are also playing. And so Hibs to get that first one is that's a really good sign for them. And then they'll need to try and get a win off Tawa. They need to probably try and get a win off like maybe St. Pat's Town and Rongotai. But that's a hard ask, and Wairarapa, it's just a hard ask. Puretua lost to Wellington College, 2nd 15, 37-8. Nainai College beat Newlands 33-0, which was a massive score. Didn't expect that one. Parapara Umu beating Aotea College 25-15. Another surprise one. I actually thought Aotea would have that game. And then Silverstream 2nd 15 beat Hutt Valley High School 29-14. Upper Hutt College beat Taita College 50-0, which a score like that, you might as well just go up to the other division. The big surprises though in some of these games, I thought Marlborough was going to beat Stack. I thought Marlborough was going to beat St. Andrews. I don't have that game. I hope someone can send it to me before Wednesday. But I picked Marlborough to win that game. I don't know what happened. I thought Marlborough was on a pretty good win going into this game. Thought they would win. I also thought Selwyn combined would win against Christ College. Another one where those videos I got sent, and just the try just wasn't called on full time, and Christ ended up winning that one 11-8. St. Thomas winning against Shirley Boys 39-26, which is one that I picked anyway. I thought St. Thomas was going to win. Mid Canterbury beating Waimea Combined was not one that I picked. I thought Waimea was going to win that one. St. Thomas 2nd 15 beat Aoraki Combined 46-12, and Horomaka Combined, which is like, I think that's the new combined team in Christchurch. They lost to Christ College 2nd 15 22-12, and then Rangiora won 73-0 over Cashmere High School. And Rangiora is like a really good team. Like I don't know what they're doing in there. Maybe it's just the way that it worked out, but I don't know. I think that they should probably be up with the other teams. John McGlashan beat Waitaki, this down in Otago. John McGlashan beat Waitaki 38-12. Dunstan beating Mount Aspiring 34-14. South Otago High School beat Otago Boys 2nd 15 25-15, which was a big win for South Otago High School. St. Kevin's getting a win 53-19 over Taieri College, which was, I'm not surprised they won, but I'm surprised at the scoreline that they won by. That's a lot. But that's all the scores from around the country. Thanks for tuning in. We got the Year 11 rankings changing up on Tuesday. Also, we got the Team of the Week on Wednesday, when we got some more write-ups coming through. I've got some questions and some thoughts that I'm going to write about, put it down on the keyboard, and then send it out and see what you guys think. Everybody that's injured, recover. Don't push yourselves too much. Make sure the recovery is in a time frame that you can work with. that you don't injure it any worse than it actually is. Don't try and be a tough guy and go, nah, I can do it, because you're going to end up in your 30s and then you're going to be walking sideways because you didn't recover properly. So boys, don't try and be tough guys, just recover properly, take care of your health. Those that are looking for help with mental health, you guys got all the phone numbers, and go to your loved ones, go to your parents, be open, be honest, be heartfelt, and please be good listeners at the same time to those who are struggling, and just to find out what is going on and just offer a lot of love. Parents, please be parents and stay on the sidelines. Let coaches be coaches, just be there to support. Love you all. Later, Mo.